Have you ever felt like you are running on a treadmill that never seems to stop? You work hard and you save every month, but the number in your bank account barely moves. For most people in their 50s, this feeling is like an invisible weight that follows them every day. You look at the mountain of retirement, and it feels too high to climb. You wonder if you started too late, or if you are simply not doing enough. But there is a secret about building wealth that no one tells you until you have already reached the other side. It is called the invisible line. Charlie Munger, the legendary investor, famously said that the first $100,000 is a total monster. He meant that getting there takes almost everything you have in terms of effort and discipline. But what he also meant was that once you cross that specific line, the entire game changes forever. Today, we are going to explore why that first milestone is actually 90% of the work. If you feel stuck or discouraged, please listen closely to what I am about to say. You might be much closer to the tipping point than you realize. At the beginning of your financial journey, money feels like a constant fight. You are juggling bills and trying to save a little when you can, but the progress feels invisible. This is because in the early stages, you are the only engine driving the car. If you have $10,000 invested and it grows by 7%, you only earn $700 in a year. That amount of money does not change your life. It does not even pay for a single major repair. This is why so many people give up before they even get started. They see the slow growth, and they decide that the sacrifice is not worth the reward. But they are missing the most important part of the math. Building the first $100,000 is like planting a tree in rocky soil. You have to clear the stones, and you have to water it every single day without seeing any fruit. During this stage, your contributions are doing 99% of the heavy lifting. If you save $500 a month, that is $6,000 a year. Compared to the small gains from your investments, your own hard work is the only thing moving the needle. This is the stage of fragility. It is the time when a broken appliance or a car repair feels like a financial crisis. You are building on shaky ground, and fragility feels heavy on your shoulders. For most Americans, reaching that first $100,000 takes about 15 years of consistent effort. It requires you to say no to the things that everyone else is saying yes to. It means driving the older car and skipping the luxury vacations. You are trading your comfort today for a security that you cannot yet see. But this period is not just about the money you are accumulating. It is about the person you are becoming in the process. You are building the habits of a millionaire before you even have the status of one. You are learning how to live on less than you earn, and how to respect the power of every single dollar. Without this period of struggle, any sudden wealth would simply slip through your fingers like sand. The hardest part of wealth is not the math, but the discipline to stay the course when nothing seems to be happening. But then, something incredible begins to happen as you approach the invisible line. Crossing $100,000 is like reaching the peak of a very steep hill. Suddenly, you stop pushing the boulder, and it starts to roll on its own. This is the moment when your money officially joins the workforce. Think about the math of the second $100,000. To get from 0 to 100,000 might have taken you 15 years of sweat and sacrifice. But to get from 100,000 to 200,000 will often take less than half that time. Why does this happen? It happens because you now have an army of 100,000 little soldiers working for you 24 hours a day. They do not sleep, and they do not take vacations. At a 10% market return, your portfolio is now generating $10,000 a year on its own. That is nearly $1,000 every single month without you lifting a finger. For many people, this is the first time their money earns more than they could ever save from their paycheck. Your money has finally outperformed your own labor. This is the shift from being a worker to being an owner. You start to feel a quiet sense of stability that you have never known before. The emergencies that used to keep you awake at night are now just minor inconveniences. You have built a buffer between yourself and the chaos of the world. You are no longer just surviving, but you are starting to build momentum. The invisible line has been crossed, and the timeline for every future milestone starts to shrink. As you move toward $500,000, the acceleration becomes undeniable. This is the stage where life quietly starts to get easier. You might not feel rich in the traditional sense, but the constant hum of financial anxiety begins to fade away. At this level, a modest market return of 8% adds $40,000 to your net worth in a single year. Think about that for a moment. $40,000 is equivalent to a full-time salary for many people. You have essentially cloned yourself. There is another version of you out there working a full-time job and giving you all the money. This is the stage of options. You no longer have to accept a toxic work environment because you are afraid of missing a paycheck. You no longer have to say yes to every request that drains your energy. You stop reacting to the world and you start choosing your own path. When your net worth reaches $1 million, it feels like exhaling after holding your breath for a decade. It is not about the flashy cars or the big houses that you see on television. Real wealth is quiet. It is the calm confidence that you will be okay no matter what happens to the economy. Your money is now a self-sustaining machine that grows faster than you can spend it. If your $1 million portfolio earns 7%, you are making $70,000 a year just by existing. That is more than the average household income in the United States. You have reached the point where the fear of the future is finally gone. But remember that this freedom was bought with the quiet work you did years ago. It was bought during the times when you felt like you were getting nowhere. The truth is that freedom does not begin when you hit a certain number. Freedom begins the moment you stop letting fear control your financial decisions. It begins when you realize that money is a tool for alignment and not just a way to pay for things. If you are currently in the early grind and you feel like the progress is too slow, please do not stop. Do not let the silence of compounding fool you into thinking that it is not working. Every dollar you set aside today is a seed for a tree that will provide shade for you and your family. The first $100,000 is the hardest part of the entire journey. It represents 90% of the psychological work and the discipline required. Once you pass that invisible line, the path gets smoother and the destination arrives faster than you ever expected. Wealth is not about being louder than everyone else. It is about having the quiet strength to live life on your own terms. Stay consistent and keep your eyes on your habits rather than the daily fluctuations of the market. Your future self will look back at this moment and thank you for the quiet work you are doing today. You are building a life of peace and security one step at a time. And that is a journey worth every single effort.